because see, when we are communicating, you have to understand that your communication, whatever you are communicating to the patients, or whatever you are communicating to the families, they feel that whatever we are telling, it's our honest communication that will give confidence to the patients as well as to the family members as well. So our communication should be very clear, it should be concise, and we should not use so many jargons, right? That I will discuss once I will continue with the topic. Okay. So next you can see here, communication, we know it's a very heart of the nurse-patient relationship. We must communicate with patients and families when they are stressed, because you can understand, when now you can understand the situation which is going on because of this COVID-19. Not only the person, but the whole family is under pressure, under stress. So whatever the healthcare personnel are communicating, that is a kind of relief in case of this intense stress situations. So it is not an easy job. So for that, while before you communicate, whatever you are communicating, it should be very, very clear, and you should understand what you're going to speak to the patient as well as patient's family. And that's what it is written. It is not an easy job for us. Whatever we are going to explain, first of all, we have to ourselves know the things, then only we'll be able to communicate with them very clearly. And failure to communicate effectively can jeopardize the nurse's credibility with the patient and family. If you are not able to give them a very clear instructions or clear communication, then definitely the trust, whatever trust is there, the trust you will not establish. And that is going to hamper in our nurse-patient relationship. Okay. Next.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, you can see doctors versus nurses. What is the role of doctors and what is the role of nurses in communication? Patient expect doctors to speak in fancy medical terminologies. Okay, sometimes the terminologies they will talk only in their medical point of view. So sometimes it is very difficult for the patients to understand. They will ask, what the doctors have explained, sister, I'm not at all clear. So patients expect that nurses will speak so that they can understand what is being said. So it is our responsibility to make the patients and the families very, very clearly explain. Say suppose a simple fever also, you have to make the patient understand why every 4-hourly interval you are checking the temperature. While in case of fever, we have to also correlate the respirations, we also correlate the saturations. So because these are all interlinked. So those simple things, without using medical jargons or without using medical terminologies, we have to make our patients and families understand. Patients expect that doctors may be aloof and distant. Sometimes sometimes they will tell us, or they will tell to the nurses on duty that, see, sometimes doctors comes, we want to share, we want to ask something, but he is not having time, he is so busy. So those things are coming in our way. So that is what is the role of nurse. You have to make the patients understand about the problems, you have to make them easy about the treatment, you have to make them understand about the care whatever you are providing. So that is the role of nurse, to bridge the gap between the doctors and the patient. Sometimes some of the terminologies or some of the very highly medical professional things we may not be able to understand, or we may not be able to explain, but whatever is our part, whatever as a professionals we know, we understand, definitely those things we will have to make the patients and the families explain. Patients expect that nurses will demonstrate caring and empathy in their demeanor. That is what is very, very important. Empathy. Nowadays, I always tell you in the communication class, nowadays don't show your sympathy towards anyone. Now in this highly technological era, nobody is going to accept your sympathy. But obviously, when a patient is very, very sick, you have to be empathize with the patient, not only with the patient, with whole family, because the entire family is under the crisis situation. Next, impressions are everything. What it is written, it doesn't matter to families that the nursing staff may have performed the most advanced life-saving techniques for the patient. If the nursing staff comes across as cold and distant, the patient and family will not be feel cared for. Did you all understand? Whatever may be the high advanced procedure you are doing, maybe you have given the CPR, maybe you have given a very life-saving procedure you have done. Those things they will not remember. But what they will remember? They will remember how good you are in communication, how polite you are in dealings, right? How caring you are towards the patient and family. That will be remembered, and that is what is our highest, appreciation, whatever I feel. So until and unless you are developing a trust, you are developing a very good bonding with your patient and with the family, that is what is the biggest achievement, and that is what is the biggest appreciation that you are going to get. That will not be replaced by anything, that is for sure. And keep these things in mind, like to depend on the patient, the trust and confidence is very, very important from the nursing point of view. Next, non-verbal communication. So already I told you this in my previous class. So don't underestimate the power of non-verbal communication. Nowadays, everyone knows about non-verbal communication. How you are standing, how you are looking, what is your eye contact, what is your gesture, what is your posture. So what type of cues, they from the non-verbal communications, they are getting the cues that don't match what the person is saying. Patient says, I'm fine, but he's holding on the side of the rails with a death grip and rocking in pain. So he's not giving any eye contact to you. The nurse says, I am here to help you, while rolling her eyes and scowling. Means you are not able to maintain an eye contact. You are doing you are doing busy in charting or doing some work, and you are talking. And that is what is not a respect, because patients are also a dignified persons. So to maintain a dignified respect among each other, among the nurse and the patient, or maybe a nurse and the family, so eye to eye contact is the most important thing. And you try to avoid non-verbal cues, because if you are giving some non-verbal cues, definitely the patients also may not feel good. He may mind, or maybe the family members may mind. So try avoiding any non-verbal cues whenever you are near the patient and near the patient's families. Touch. Very, very important component, or you can say parameter of communication. But you have to remember, be careful when you use touch to communicate. Sometimes patient might be sleeping, you just go and pat him. Hello sir, hello ma'am, how are you, good morning. So touching a patient who has a neuropathy means, neuropathy is absence of sensation. Okay, you will read in second year, absence of sensation, it is due to some complications. So neuropathy, patients who are having neuropathy can be very painful, especially hands and feet. So some cultures forbid men and women to touch. Sometimes we don't feel, no, if suddenly some boys are coming and touching, same thing. If suddenly a woman goes and touch the male patients, people may not feel good always. So what for that we are here to first ask. Sir, ma'am, may I touch you? Or I'm touching your hands to check your pulse. So this is the way you should communicate, right? So warn patients before you touch them and describe what you expect. This will feel tight around your arm. You will feel good, you know, and you will not also feel hesitate. If the patient is giving you permission and you are getting cooperation from the patient, so that will not, you also will not feel hesitate in doing whatever care or whatever procedure or whatever communication you are going to build. But without asking permission, you just go and prick the patient, or you just try to check the blood pressure, or you just try to check the vitals. Definitely, even if I am a patient, I will mind that. So try to respect, try to maintain the dignity, because everyone is dignified, even you, me, everyone, even patients are our dignified customers. So try to maintain that formality uh, officially with all the type of patients. Also be careful with your gesture. What is acceptable to one culture may be offensive to another. So that is the reason, like, you have to remember what to say, cultural obligations, right? Sometimes some culture may vary from other culture. So try to also admit or accept the cultural differences. That will be very, very important part in maintaining or a good nurse patient relationship. Next, be honest. Yes, this is also a very, very important role of a nurse. You always have to be honest. Don't lie to your patients. If what you are going to do will hurt, sorry, whatever you are going to do will hurt, you say so. So suppose if you are going to prick a small child, he knows that giving injection will hurt him. So you may crack some jokes, or you may want to divert his mind, but you tell him, like, see, I'm going to give you an injection. It may hurt you little, but you try to cooperate. You try to cooperate and see, it will, if you try to cooperate and you try to defeat your mind, definitely you will have less pain. So this is how you try to develop a communication, develop a rapport, and just carry out your procedures. Patients, especially kids, really resent hearing phrases like, it's just a little poke before a shot, it's going to hurt, and they know it. So, you cannot tell a lie that giving injection will not hurt the kid. Even for old patients also, it may vary, because sometimes patients acceptance or patients perceptions of pain may vary, but definitely it is going to hurt the person. When the nurse does this, the patient loses trust in the nurse, and then disregards everything else that the nurse say has to. If you are just giving, just telling lies, no, 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 no. If I'm so expert, I will give you injection. You will not at all. It will not hurt you. Then definitely he or she will think, why she is telling lie to me, because I know giving injection will definitely hurt me. So don't tell lie. Everybody knows that if we prick the patients, definitely it is going to hurt the patient. But we have to say, like, as much as possible, I try to minimize your pain. Please cooperate, and I will see how much with less pain I'll try to give you the push. So this is how you try to explain to the patient, and you try to build the trust towards the patient. Next, you see, give news over the phone. That is also a very, very important, objective we the nurses have to keep in mind. May not be in first year, maybe in whole life you have to remember. Giving news over phone. Sometimes nurses have to inform family members that somebody has been injured or somebody has died. Means you want to give some report that the patient has already expired. Now, how you are going to communicate that to the family? Make sure that you have the correct person on the other end of the line. Whoever is speaking, you try to first, hello, try to make sure that you have to correct the you are speaking to the correct person on the other end of the line. You have to first cross check, Mr. So and so, are you Mr. So and so, are you the guardian of the patient? Like that, you have to first ask the actual identification or correct identification of the patient's relative. Then introduce yourself and keep the conversation simple while conveying the message. You don't try to drag on going explanation and explanation and explanation. You try to keep your conversation in a simple conveying message. Try to keep the conversation short. Extensive explanation can usually wait until the family comes to the hospital. Once the family comes to the hospital, you can then explain what had happened, what are the episodes, how you have resuscitated and how you have failed in resuscitation. And that is the reason, like we lost the patient. We have tried from our side level best. So this is how these all things explanation can be on the patient's part, or sorry, from our part, when the patient's family is in the hospital. But while giving the information over the phone, we try to keep it as concise as possible. If the family asks if the patient has died, be honest, but wait to give details in person. Yes, you just can tell that, yes, very sorry to inform you, your patient has expired. But if he is asking so many questions, then you have to request, ma'am, sir, kindly you come to the hospital and latest detailed discussion we can have in person once you reach the hospital. You can even see your patient, even you can talk to us while you reach the hospital. So this is the way you should communicate. And see, these things, as you are very novice to this profession, you will all learn while you go on with your course, and while you gain on experience, these things automatically will develop on you. But you have to remember, these are the some of the ground rules while communicating with the patients as well as families. Bad day before work, yes, that is very important. And we the nurses, sometimes it hampers, it hampers in our work life. Leave it at home. Definitely, when you start your work, you may have quarrel with your roommate in the hostel. You may have some physical problem. The girls may have dysmenorrhea or headache or vomiting. These things are always there with you. But leave it at home. Even if you are had a terrible, horrible day, before coming to your work, you must leave your bad mood at the door to be caring and professional when working with your patients. You have to leave, because here we, the nurses, we are there for the patients. We patients, half, maybe 50% of their illness is to go when they see the smiling face of a nurse, the smiling face of a healthcare personals. And why I am telling nurse? Because most of the time the nurses are with the patients. The doctors comes and go, they write the prescriptions, they go. But who are the person who is there 24 into 7, standing on the toes beside the patient? It is we, the nurses. So you have to admit that whatever may be your experience at hostel or at home, you have to leave it aside. Sound tough, it's really sometimes tough, sounds tough, but we have to, it is, but we have to overcome this particular things. Hello students, are you there? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, till till
Yes,
till
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
till this, is it clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Putting a good face on. This is a small example. I'll not go into it. I'll share this slide afterwards. You can just go through. It's a small example in an oncology hospital in Detroit. A husband was admitted. Husband, and I saw over the weekend and found that he was probably dying. So this is a patient, like a cancer patient who is battling of cancer and is going to die. So sometimes, over the phone, if you are getting this type of news, it really sometimes hamper us. But then also, we cannot show all our bad memories or bad moments with our face. We should look bright, our face should be always with glory when we are caring for the patients. And this is the same story which has been repeated. It was a terrible difficulty while communicating with the patients when a patient is battling with cancer, but ultimately the nurse's friends died in 2 years later. So this is a story you can read afterwards. And same thing, another experience here. Yes, if it is really bad, sometimes what happened, uh, sometimes what happen, maybe some very you will get into these experiences once we started sending you to the medical college hospitals. There are lots and lots of patients everywhere, and lots of various cases are coming every day into the medical colleges hospitals. And sometimes some patients are bedridden conditions with a very bad 4th-degree bed sore, right? And sometimes some smelly smell, especially in the labor rooms, right? So sometimes it's very disturbing. It is very disturbing for the nurses. So what we do, sometimes either we put lipstick or we put Vicks vapor up under the nose to cover these nasty smells. But sometimes even we see now also, you can hear in the news and the media that with the PPE kit, the nurses used to fail down because it is extremely suffocating while taking care of COVID patients with experiencing with this PPE kit. But what we do usually, sometimes we feel bad, like we used to have like dizziness or maybe some of the other problems, feel like to vomit. Then you should not start doing it in front of the patients or families. You ask yourself excuse yourself politely, go and sit down another room until you feel better. But don't just fell down near the patient. Don't just started like making faces near the patients. So that gives a very wrong image, because people will say, how come they're, excuse me, just keep your microphone in the mute. Everyone, I am asking, keep your microphone in the mute because I am getting some background noises which is disturbing in the class. Okay, thank you. So if you have this type of episode, just ask excuse in front from the patients and go aside, take rest, drink water, take rest for a while, and then you come. So this is how, because sometimes people, patients doesn't know that you are a first year nurse or you are a second year nurse or maybe you are a full registered nurse. So they will ask, what happened? You are taken nursing into profession and you are not yourself so confident in doing this procedure. So this is something sometimes we usually have to overcome. You yourself have to overcome with your confidence and with your courage. Here is the role of nurse, should be courageous. So how to overcome this type of situation? Surgical mask don't do anything to disguise smell. It will only make the patient feel bad and very self-conscious about the odor. Sometimes, that is the thing. We make faces, we cover our nose and mouth if sometimes patient stinks. So you have to tactfully deal with this type of situations when you are dealing with this type of patients. Yes, same thing here again. Example, when I'm working with a really nasty wound or smell, I try to block it on my mind by concentrating. Yeah, you try to deviate yourself with conversation with the patient. Say, suppose you are doing a Bexo dressing or you are doing a burn wound dressing. When you will look into the cases in second year or third year, sometimes like until and unless you do it by yourself, you will not achieve the confidence. You will not get the confidence. You have to do it. So you try to deviate your mind by talking to the patients, right? So that from the nasty smell, you are coming out from this type of concentration. I focus on talking with the patient as I'm doing the dressing change or whatever, and that helps me the time pass more quickly. It also takes the patient's mind off the wound and what I am doing. So sometimes patients also will look, oh, his sister is shaking, her hands are shaking, her legs are shaking, how she can be a confident nurse? So definitely the trust on you also will come down. So these all things slowly you will learn while you do go on practicing or while you go on in your course. Same thing here. If your wound is particularly bad, I tried not to think about it much while I'm doing the dressing change. So you try to deviate. Then when I'm all done, then I go to the bathroom or somewhere someplace else from patients and vent a bit. You just try to ventilate, or you, even if you try to wash your hands, your face, everything, you might find it helpful to go talk it with your classmate or co-worker in a conference room afterwards. You try to ventilate what had happened. So then slowly you will come out from this particular devastating situations. Now, are you get started? We'll just try to complete it within 5 minutes. Listen. Listen is a very, very important. The more you listen, the more you will try to develop trust and confidence with your patients. Try to maintain eye contact. Very, very important, because until and unless if you are confident, you will be having eye contact. If a nurse doesn't have confidence, then she will not maintain eye contact. So I will request everyone to maintain eye contact. If you are having confidence on the subject, on the procedure, or on the whatever dealings you are doing with the patients, try to maintain eye contact in a very confident manner. Speak with patient's family as well as the patient. You try to interact with the patient's family, questions them, especially if the family member is a primary caregiver for the patient. You try to give some awareness, try to give some education, try to build a rapport, and try to cooperate with the family members, whatever they are telling about the patients. Try to listen, and active listening is very, very important part of communication. Don't be judgmental. Don't pass any comment. That is not a very, very good idea. Don't ever say the person's idea is silly. Respond gently instead. Suggest that there may be another way to address the issue and the new approach maybe works better. This is the way you should put your words, but don't be judgmental towards the patients. Don't give any negative comments. Don't show your excessive emotions to the patients. And listen carefully. Listen, listen, and listen. This is what is nowadays very, very important. And what I will ask you nowadays, you all are this generation people, your listening ability or listening capacity is reducing. You try to talk more, but you try to listen less. But here, in case when you are coming into a nursing profession and you are dealing with patients who are really sick, who needed care and comfort, listening skill should be at the beginning. Then your speaking, like talking skills or other skills will come. So listen carefully. Listening can be a tremendous educational experience, especially when starting a nursing career. So you have to change. People who doesn't talk have to be extrovert and start talking right from today. Speak clearly. Whatever you are telling, it should be very clear. You should not use, as I mentioned again, don't give so much of your medical terminology, your jargons. You try to speak very clearly, make them feel easy and make them feel comfortable when you are dealing with patients and family. Whatever they, in their own understanding, level of understanding, you have to make them explain. Skip the medical terminology, again the same. Allow periodic moments of silence. You know, sometimes patients want silence. Okay, they don't want to listen whatever you are talking, because they're also in fear, they're also in anxiety. So try to give them some moments of silence. And respect cultural difference. Use caution with touch and humor. Sometimes you want to crack some jokes, but the patient, the family members are in extreme pressure, extreme stress. They don't want to hear. So you try to see the situation, and then you try to crack jokes or try to deviate the patient's mind. So everything is on your part. And as I mentioned already, when you will touch, especially ask permission. The girls, when you are going to touch the male patients, and for boys, when you are going to touch the female patients. So this is all about today's class. Now only 1 minute's time. So whatever, if you are having any query, you can just send your questions to Gayatri ma'am so that she can forward it to me. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Hope it is understandable. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hope it is understandable to everyone.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you're having any,
ma'am.
yeah, if you're having any queries, kindly you can send the questions to Gayatri ma'am so that she can forward it to you. Sorry, to me. And in case